were hanging out at the wedding the other day, me and Wolchuk, and I was just like, you know what? Because, of course, we were just talking ball, just a couple of football guys cutting it up. And I was like, obviously we're going to get some busts in this Cowboys draft. So, especially looking at the top maybe 4 selections, realistic, it's hard to project any 5th or 6th round pick doing it. I mean, I guess in this case with Deuce Vaughn, a lot of people feel comfortable saying like, okay, he's a 6th round pick, but you feel pretty good about him. But who's the guy that you feel like when we look back in 3 or 4 years, he's the most likely to be the regrettable pick? Is it Schoonmaker? Is it Overshown? For me, it's Schoonmaker. It's like the second round death wish for the Cowboys. Kind of feels that way sometimes. It's not always true, but it definitely feels that way.
It's happened with tight ends before, too.
Yeah. The tight end is that sort of position that you see where it's like, oh, that guy just didn't work out. And then I think he's a little bit banged up. So I'm like, if anything, maybe he's a good player, but he's just he's kind of an injured guy.
The thing, it's funny because I had some questions for you guys in Krusty's Corner today, and my number one question was bigger offensive impact, Luke Schoonmaker or Deuce Vaughn?
That's a great question. That's a fun question. You
want us to answer that now?
Yeah, you can go ahead. I mean, since you've already brought it up, I mean, I don't want to. If you,
I'm feeling good about Schoonmaker's floor. I think he is going to help you. I just don't think he's a star. Immediate impact, I'm going to take Schoonmaker. I think your bust is Overshown. Sorry to bring in 2 things at once.
No.
But, I think Overshown, they're saying as a stand-up linebacker, you can't help that much year one, and you're kind of back in the depth chart like you're Luke Gifford. I'm sorry, but that's an instinctual, easy position to come into the NFL compared to the others. And if they don't think you can have an impact right now, I think that's your bustola. Your best shot at a bustola. Mozzie Smith ain't busting. Right. Nobody that strong with a dump truck like that is busted.
I wouldn't go Mozzie either. I would lean Schoonmaker over Deuce. I think Deuce will have the more splash plays, but I think Schoonmaker's just going to get way more reps than Deuce. I just don't know how much they're going to actually play Deuce Vaughn in year one until they prove otherwise, right? We saw the same thing with Tony Pollard, who's an electrifying player that they just didn't use. Now, Kellen Moore's not here anymore, so maybe Brian Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy have a better plan for Deuce, but I think Schoonmaker's going to get more opportunities, so I'd say him to answer your question, Brian. I'm also going with D. Overshown as my pick for the most likely to bust of the Cowboys' top 3 picks, which is pretty much what we're doing here.
Sure.
He's the player that I had graded lowest of the 3. And when I watched him, I just didn't see a very instinctual type of player. He's athletic as hell, traitsy as heck, and I like the talk about moving him to edge, but he's a guy that just hasn't really played one true position for long enough to really grasp it. So you got to have a plan for him, and I think Dan Quinn might. But if I had to project one guy that might end up not making it, it could be him.
If you carry this thing to the 4th round, I'll say that Junior Fehoko having to go from end to defensive tackle might be a busty kind of a thing.
Okay.
That maybe, there's some people that are thinking about, could this be the new version of Tyron Crawford? Where all of a sudden he's playing end, he's playing tackle.
What is he?
What is he? And now you don't have a position for him kind of a thing.
Right.
I mean, he is, when you start to talk about motor, effort, and all that, you can see all that. But I worry about if the fact he's going to have to put on weight, is he going to have to play another position? Is that going to be, are we going to see what it is with like what it was for Tolbert? Was it too much for Tolbert? Is it too much for Junior Fehoko to have to make a switch from the edge to a defensive tackle?
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And I mean, honestly, back to your question, I think it's fair to ask about the Schoonmaker and Deuce Vaughn thing. Conventional wisdom, the obvious answer I think would be Schoonmaker having the bigger role. But I mean, the running back position, Tony Pollard's coming off the injury, and you got Ronald Jones. Don't seem to trust Malik Davis.
Yeah.
Like Deuce Vaughn, just through the tough position that is the running back and like how much they get banged up, like he might be the guy that's there because they haven't really invested much there.
Youth matters so much at that position, and explosiveness matters. I'd like top end speed and size, and obviously if he had those, I think he'd be a 2nd or 3rd round pick. But I think chances are very good Deuce Vaughn is immediately a productive, helpful player in this offense.
Oh, absolutely.
His ability to catch the ball, they want to throw short to running backs. I mean, this is right up Mike McCarthy's alley.
Yeah, I just wonder how much he's going to actually get snaps. And injury-wise, if you have injuries ahead of you, then sure, then that opportunity presents itself.
But like at the tight end spot, like it's realistic to say Schoonmaker doesn't impress as much as Ferguson or Hendershot. And I also like I think at the running back spot, you could be in day one and just see the bounce in Deuce Vaughn looks different than a Ronald Jones or looks different than a Malik Davis. And all of a sudden, if you're the two back, you're getting some run.
I mean, Schoonmaker is really solid, though, as a pro prospect, as long as you don't mind a tight end without wiggle, without the ability to bust some tackles.
No, yeah.
Everything else is like, hey, buddy, we got a strong player here that can, block him up or can go find a soft spot with good hands, and he's got speed. I don't think he's going to create any space, but the space that the scheme creates for him, he's going to get down the field, So I'm pretty happy with what Schoonmaker's going to be able to do long-term as a starter with this football team. I just don't think you have a chance of having a Kelsey.
They clearly put a premium on drafting a tight end in this class. They wanted one. They needed one. Schoonmaker's the best blocker. He's going to be on the field. We know that.
You did answer one of my questions about the bigger offensive impact with Schoonmaker and Deuce Vaughn. That was good discussion by you guys, by the way. Like that a lot. All right, my next question for you guys is, does the fact that the Cowboys don't have a kicker at this point bother you?
Yes, it does. Ideally, you have a veteran kicker that you can trust. And when you don't, you can end up with a really bad one. And this team likes to get guys that kick hard, and I think that it's resulted in them having 2 over kickers in a row. So, yes, it gives me anxiety. What do I mean by over kicker? Guy that's trying to kick it too hard doesn't have enough accuracy.
Got the strong leg. They like the strong leg there.
They want to boom it.
I think the only it does. I am a little bit worried about it, certainly. But the only reason I'm a little bit okay, they've done this before. Like last year, they get Maher in last minute, and he ended up being really good for the majority of the season. Then things went awry with the yips there in the postseason.
Yeah.
But you still have a guy like Robbie Gould out there. Now, some might not like him, think his leg's not strong enough. I get that. But to me, he'd be a very good signing.
Yeah, it is a little bit annoying, but it's also there's much more annoying positions that they could be having questions about right now. So it's not like keeping me up at night by any means, but you'd like to get them get that thing figured out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I talked to a special teams coach in the league, and I asked him about Robbie Gould, and I'll read it again what I heard, and this is where I think that if you're a Cowboy fan, you have to be concerned. And, ideally, my guy said, the team would have a punter that can handle the kickoff duties. Robbie Gould did it last year. The year before, they had a punter that was able to handle that. And this last year, they didn't. So he had to kick off, and they struggled with that a little bit. But he really doesn't want to attempt field goals from 50-plus, so it could put a strain on the offense in the fringe territory. Okay, I think – how many field goals did Brett Maher attempt from 50 yards last year? Was it 11 that they took?
It was quite a few, and that's his specialty. He was better the longer distance.
Now you're talking about if Robbie Gould does not want to kick long field goals, and you have a coach like Mike McCarthy that is willing to put your kicker out there at 50-plus, isn't that a bad fit for this team?
For the Cowboys, it probably is. But again, I don't know. They haven't necessarily had the right fit at kicker. Maybe they need to change the way that they're thinking about it a little bit. You're looking at a Band-Aid fix anyway. I don't think anybody that they bring in now, unless you just catch lightning in a bottle and it ends up working out, is going to be a long-term fix there at kicker.
Okay, my next question for you guys. We mentioned this earlier when we opened the show, and we started talking about road games and stuff like that. And I went through and I looked at this. I said, give me the Cowboys' record in these road games. And the games I picked were Miami, San Francisco, Buffalo, and Philadelphia. Cowboys road record in games Miami, San Francisco, Buffalo, Philadelphia. Those 4 games.
Sounds like 1-3 to me, Brian.
Yeah. Feels a lot like 1-3, especially not knowing exactly like if that's an early game in Miami early in the season where it's hot as can be, like that changes
or where
things.
Buffalo died in it last year.
Or
but you live in a hot city.
Yeah, you're playing the time. I think it's a different deal. But at the same time, late in the season in Buffalo, that could be a potential weather nightmare. But I would guess probably 1-3.
I'll go 2-2 because you don't know what the health will be of for Tua at all. And hey, Buffalo's a team maybe you match up with better than you think. Josh Allen did shred them the last time they played. They always play Philly well. And San Francisco, we don't know about their quarterback situation. So that's a tough gauntlet, but I think they could split those.
Was the winnable game Philadelphia or Miami to you?
More so Miami.
I heard a 1 and a 3. I heard 1 and 3. What was the win? What was the game you picked to win?
It was either a Miami or a Philly situation because of the Tua thing, and then Philly is a team that you're very familiar with, and you've beaten them. Now, granted, you didn't beat them with Jalen Hurts last year, so when you do that this year, that'll be the first time you've done it since the Eagles and him were at the height of their powers. But I would still think that you play there all the time. That's a team you're familiar with. That could be the victory.
Yeah. I think the most likely victory out of those two is Philadelphia. I think the least likely out of those is Miami, and then out of the three, the least likely. There's no way of it happening is San Francisco. So, in orders of most difficult: San Francisco, Miami, Philly. Hell, you almost won in Philly last year with Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of familiarity. They're going. They lost a lot. We'll see how good the Eagles
haven't beaten Dak.
Yeah, the thing about it is the fact that you guys don't even. You think the San Francisco game sound like a loss? Just automatic loss.
But their quarterback situation is. I don't think we're giving it enough credit for how that could be a huge problem. I think we're all just banking on, well, if he just did it with Brock Purdy, why couldn't he do it with Sam Darnold, who we know has talent? He's not a Beathard that you found at the end of a draft or an undrafted dude. He's got talent, and same with Trey Lance. So, I mean, we're just assuming that that's going to work out, but that quarterback situation could be weird.
All right, here's another question. You have something, Gavin, or was that you? We good?
Yeah, I do want to say San Francisco has a great knack, or maybe it's intentional, of peaking in the playoffs. So regular season Niners, I think we should acknowledge, are more beatable.
Yeah, you might be better off if that's an early in the season type of game.
Yeah, I like it. All right, this is my question for you guys here. Is there ever a time for matching outfits with you and your significant other? And I say this because we're starting to see pictures of Choppy and Sarah on their vacation.
Yes.
They're wearing matching outfits. Is there ever a time for matching outfits?
Wait, so they went to a nice dinner and they decided to wear the same colors so they would sort of match in the pictures?
Hawaiian shirt and top were matching.
Yeah, they were identical.
You're saying it's the exact same shirt.
Yeah, they were identical.
her in a a lady top, with a no sleeves and stuff.
I could see Chop wearing a brassiere.
Yeah. But she
just a full-on dress.
She was wearing she was wearing almost like a sundress kind of a thing. Choppy was going with the Hawaiian shirt.
But it's the same print,
pattern. Same
That's
pattern.
Hilarious.
Same
dude.
pattern. Is there, Gavin? Is there ever a time?
A good bit? If it's a good bit.
A good bit? Okay, I could see that. I was going to say, if she says, honey, if you do this, that one friend of mine's going to come over this weekend, if you know what I'm saying. That'd be about it.
Oh, wow.
That's one of that.
You saying something about what's going on with this relationship?
No, I'm just saying. What's that? Illusion? Stuck one in there. Yeah, I think it's embarrassing. I think it is. Now, maybe some guys are like, I'm going to be a little bit embarrassed to make my woman happy, right? And if you're just that guy that you're just like, I'm going to sacrifice because I know how happy it's going to make you, I salute you.
See, knowing this couple the way I do, I feel like this is Sarah doing this for Choppy so he doesn't get upset.
No, Choppy is willing to do whatever.
He is.
He's
Choppy's willing.
Yeah.
Sarah wears the pants in that relationship 100%.
And Choppy wears the shirt,
he's
too.
He's a free baller guy.
Yeah. And the panties sometimes, what I heard.
It's true. I heard it, too.
Boy, you guys laid out on me for that one.
I should have.
I thought it was good. I thought it was brilliant.
All right. We'll get these out of the way before the kids get in the car after school.
But no, Brian, I'm not into the matching outfits.
I bet you next time we see you,
I'm going to end up getting roped into that.
Yeah.
Walchuk's more of a free guy anyway.